promotion and getting a supervisor. My journey, I would say my own journey was kind of lonely because University of Bath, when I got in, at that time I was the only black and one or two other. So there was, you can't find someone doing radio work. Even if I had a contest of having what I want to do, I faced, because I was just coming from Wales, I just did my master's in Wales, I'm from Nigeria. So there was this cultural contest of which I wanted to explain my work. And my supervisor was just reading everything and was just condemning everything. And I didn't just know who to meet and where to go. So there's the next person, few blacks who are masters, are also complaining about their own situation. So everybody was in the middle of nowhere. And that's one of the situations I faced, And so during my first transfer for you to get to from your PhD, from the transfer period, I was told to submit. And what I submitted, they said it wasn't good enough because I wasn't grounded in what the theory, I wasn't grounded in anything. And these were things I was learning. But at the end of it now, as you just mentioned, what struck me first was that they're now saying submit your work. But I got along to understand, reading too many things. It took me 5 years, 4 years, because I needed to get myself embedded in what I'm doing. And it took me 5 years to now be able to just submit in the next 2 months. And now, as I said, supervision, today we were just deciding, okay, would you want to be your external supervisor? And that is the question. I didn't know what, I said, okay, I'll get back there by Monday. So I just wanted to know, what do you think?
On that question, the response is that it depends what do you think is the weakest part of your PhD? You have to find somebody who will be more sympathetic to that. That makes sense. Right. So, for example, my PhD, I used the actual Malcolm X stuff. I didn't think that was fine, but I used a different methodology. Right? And the methodology was a bit out there, not that way out there, but a little bit. So I had to be very careful about which examiner, because you pick the wrong examiner with a different methodology, that's going to throw it out. So I found somebody who was more open to the methodology. She was fine, lovely. Actually, it was the best thing about the PhD. So you have to be strategic about it. So think about the weakness that you most worried about. Try to find an examiner who will be sympathetic to that's what I think.
Any more questions? This is a selfish question. I come from a student union and campaign background. What I've noticed from everyone's comments and your experiences, it seems like there isn't an appropriate procedure to actually challenge how PhD students are treated, or there's no way of standardizing the actual experience or expectations from both sides. So is there a huge gap in universities and the complaints or appeals procedure, or just some type of system that's specifically catered to PhD students? I'm not a PhD student. I just came here to meet you guys.
I mean, there are. I mean, if it's really bad, really bad, you can complain. You should complain. There are procedures around this, right? This is actually something that universities have had a lot of complaints about that. So now universities typically have to have 2 supervisors, not 1 supervisor, precisely because of this. Your first supervisor might not be one. So there are complaint procedures you can go through. So I mean, what I would always say about PhDs is, and this is probably, I don't know, honestly, it's your piece of work, right? You shouldn't expect to take on the majority of the work around that. You want a supervisor who will certainly help and push you in the right direction. But yeah, if they're not doing what they should do, you should always complain. You are paying for this. And there are procedures to do.
I mean, you can sign. I mean, universities have a contract, student contract, and I think they've, as you say, there's been so much criticism that they're introducing a lot of mechanisms to put in place. But it's a personal relationship you also have with your supervisor. So, but you can't complain, and you can also move universities. You do it strategically. You do it in a way that doesn't harm you.
Would you go as far as kind of creating some sort of contract with your supervisor? This is what I expect, and then this is what they expect from you.
Well, there is. I mean, there is regulation which is in context. minimum respect. You should stay, and if they breach that, you should get, you have the right to complain.
Hello, my name is Asma. This is not a question, it's mainly to add to what you said about being resourceful. What I find to be useful, because my supervisors are not real specialists in my field, is to become a member of an academic association, and some of them have actually mentoring scheme where you can actually get another person helping you in your specific topic. So it's just to add.
Any questions?
Yes.
So to the brother who was just asking about, you're looking for an external supervisor.
Yeah.
What field?
I mean, I'm doing conflict. Actually, I'm looking at militants in the Nigerian perspective. So I'm looking at oil and conference, the social construction of militants and what they mean. And so it's complicated. It's more of sociology, it's more of anthropology, and understanding that. And so the methodology I used was basically an insider perspective of understanding why people carry guns and that. And so it's my supervisor, I struggled for the first 2-3 years getting the right theory because I was reading too many things, and after reading volumes of months, they just condemn me. And it's frustrating. I had to take away 6 months to just leave the entire thesis alone because I needed to find my ground with what I was doing. And so this is why I right now I'm only asking the question, who I want.
So are you in politics?
I'm in social policy sciences.
I think you could arrest the panel, to be honest, after.
It's about conflict, yeah, really.
You're one of these guys.
Taking back on that, would you mind giving us like a practical way of dealing with the supervisor when you're trying to use like an alternative form of knowledge or alternative theoretical framework short of actually leaving and moving like I did? What's the way that you can actually, I don't know.
I just say just be fair with it. I mean, I had this issue with what did I do for that? I mean, actually, because he didn't read much of the stuff. The black radical thing, he wasn't that fussed about. But I did a version of ethnography, but I changed ethnography because ethnography, a lot of it's very regressive. And so I went to see him about it. And this is one thing he said, oh, well, let's have a discussion. I asked him for some references. He gave me this book that was like 1964. Things have moved on. And he was saying, look, you can't present it. I presented like a large part of my PhD is my field notes written up, and I've written up in a way that connects it back to the field. Right? And he basically said to me, you can't do this. If you do this, you can fail. If you do this, it's not going to work. This isn't the right way to do it. And I said, this is how I do it. And then I just very clear, I gave him a justification of how we do it, and this is how I do it. It wasn't a conversation. I wasn't asking him. I just told him. And he went, okay. And back then, I think part of that he's having that confidence to say, well, this is my piece of work, this is how I'm going to do it. Because at the end of the day, it is your piece of work, and it's actually what it is. They give you advice, and they can't tell you yes.
Any more questions before we move on?
Hi, my name is Nathaniel. I'm a master's student. I finished in September, so I'm getting a bit ahead of myself. But I'm debating doing a PhD. I've got a proposal, but my question is to you. You said the PhD is the start of your career. So my question is basically, once you've completed your PhD, is there like an imminency, is there a rush to get a job to put out articles? Is there real okay, I've finished, but I've got to keep on going on? Can you finish? And I don't know, not being lazy, but can you finish? I could chill for a year and go to Dominica for 6 months because you know what, I've just been working the last 5 years. The situation I'm in now, that's why I'm like,
what I would say is the field now for jobs is so competitive. It's so competitive. You literally, you don't want to lose any time to do things right. So even while you're finishing, you want to be publishing, and it's just, you want to take it. You can take a break if you want to. Certainly you can, but you might put yourself a bit back. But it just becomes very, 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 very competitive. But again, it's entirely up to you. You decide, I want to take a year off. Take a year off. But as long as you put the work in, definitely try and get some publications out before you go.